Configuration profiles are a core component of managing computers and mobile devices with Jamf Pro. They allow administrators to quickly deploy and enforce settings like Wi-Fi networks, passcode policies, restrictions, and more, all with the click of a button. This is Zach. Welcome to Configuration Profiles. At their core, configuration profiles are simply small XML files ending in .mobileconfig that contain information or settings applicable to a computer or mobile device. Configuration profiles can be created with tools such as Jamf Pro, Apple Configurator, or Profile Editor, and then either deployed with an MDM solution or installed manually on a device. Configuration profiles are deployed using the Apple Push Notification Service, or APNS, and as such require that a device has internet connectivity to receive the profile. Both computers and mobile devices use configuration profiles in the same way, and their creation and deployment from Jamf Pro is very similar. We'll look at examples of both in this video. Starting on the dashboard, navigate to Devices, Configuration Profiles. Existing profiles are shown in a list here, along with deployment statistics like install rates, pending or failed installations, and scope. Profiles can be viewed in a list or in a dashboard view by using the buttons in the top right. If you create a profile outside of Jamf Pro and need to deploy it, the .mobileconfig file can be uploaded using the Upload button and then deployed using the normal workflow. For this example, let's create a new profile for our mobile devices using the New button at the top. On the New Configuration Profile screen, we begin on the General tab. The contents of the tab are on the right, with a list of available settings categories, called payloads, in an alphabetical list on the left. The General tab is required for every configuration profile, containing the profile's name, category, and deployment options. In this example, I've been tasked with deploying a passcode policy for our enrolled devices, requiring that at least a 6-digit passcode is set that expires every 90 days. Start by giving the profile an appropriate name. I'm using passcode policy, and add a description and category if desired. Below, we can set the level at which to apply the profile, the device level or the user level. These levels are defined by Apple and built into the device operating system, allowing profiles to affect the entire device or only specific users on the device. I'm leaving this set to device level, since I want all devices and every user on them to have a passcode set. At the bottom of the page, we can set the distribution method for the profile, either installing it automatically or making the profile available in the self-service app. I'm leaving this set to install automatically, since I doubt my users will willingly set a 90-day rotating passcode if it was not required. Use the self-service distribution method for optional or helpful settings or configurations that your users can elect to apply to their device. We're now ready to add the passcode requirement to this profile. Navigate to the passcode payload in the list on the left, either by scrolling down to the Ps or by using the filter at the top of the list. On the right, we now see the contents of the passcode payload, a list of settings with short descriptions of their effects, as well as a switch at the right to enable or disable them. I was tasked with creating a passcode policy that requires a 6-digit passcode on my devices that expires every 90 days. So, moving down the list, I can start adding these requirements to my profile with the switch for each setting. I'm starting by requiring a passcode, and then moving down to minimum passcode length. After enabling it with the switch, we can use the pop-up menu on the left to specify the value for passcode length. In my case, I'm choosing 6. Moving on, I've located maximum passcode age, which from the description I can see is the setting that will require my users to change their passcode after a certain length of time. Enable the setting with the switch, and then enter the value for the number of days before the passcode expires. I'm entering 90. These settings look good to me, so I'm navigating to the Scope tab at the top to select which devices will receive this profile. Since this profile is intended for all mobile devices in my fleet, I can use the Target Mobile Devices pop-up menu to choose all mobile devices, and then select Save in the bottom right to save the profile. For more information on Scope, check out our video on Device Scope. We've now created and deployed our first basic configuration profile. Since configuration profiles are deployed using APNS, they are installed nearly instantly provided the targeted device is connected to the internet. If I grab a test device here and unlock it, I can see that I am immediately prompted to create a passcode. Let's try creating another configuration profile, this time for computers. In Jamf Pro, navigate to Computers, Configuration Profiles. Here we see a similar list of computer configuration profiles as we did for mobile devices, and have the same view options in the top right. For this profile, I've been tasked with deploying Wi-Fi credentials for our new production and test networks in the Minneapolis office. To avoid installing profiles for users that don't need them, we'll also need to deploy this profile specifically to computers assigned to the Minneapolis building in Jamf Pro. Click New to create a new profile. Similar to the mobile device configuration profile, we again begin on the General tab and have a list of available payloads on the left. This is the major difference between computer and mobile device configuration profiles. Some of the available payloads and settings for computers are not available for mobile devices, and vice versa. Give the profile an appropriate display name. I'm using Minneapolis Wi-Fi networks, and enter a description and category if desired. Similar to devices, we can choose which level to apply the profile to, the computer level or the user level. I'm leaving this set to computer level. Finally, we can again choose a distribution method from Install Automatically or Make Available in Self-Service. I'd like my users to automatically receive the credentials without needing to go looking for them, so I'm leaving this set to Install Automatically. We can now add the contents of the profile. In the list of payloads, locate and select the network payload. Note that this is one of the small differences between computers and mobile devices. Devices deploy networks with the Wi-Fi payload, and computers use the network payload. Click Configure to add the payload. In the network payload, we are shown a series of fields where we can add the network information we'd like to deploy. Starting at the top, add the network name in the SSID field, and select the appropriate options for Hidden Network and Auto Join. I'm entering Jamf Office MPLS and leaving Auto Join selected. Moving down, we can configure a proxy if needed, and then can select the security type for the network. I'm choosing WPA WPA2 Personal from the pop-up menu, which then expands the section to allow the credentials for the network to be added. After entering the credentials, this network is ready to deploy. However, I was tasked with deploying both the production and test networks to my computers. I could create two profiles to achieve this goal. But instead, let's keep our Jamf Pro instance tidy and instead add both networks within the same payload. Scroll to the top and use the plus button in the top right to add a new network to the payload. The page updates, and I can now scroll down and repeat this process with the information for the test network. While I am adding multiple networks to this profile, they are still contained within the same payload, and the final profile will contain just the General tab and the Network tab. It's highly recommended to add as few payloads as possible to your configuration profiles, for both computers and mobile devices. It may be tempting to set up one gigantic profile that contains all the wireless information, restrictions, passcode policies, and security settings needed by your devices. However, if one of those devices needs troubleshooting, it will be difficult to track down what specific setting in the profile is causing issues. Keeping your payload count limited to one per profile allows for changes and troubleshooting down the line with the least impact to your users. With the second network added, I can now move to the Scope tab at the top to deploy this profile. Click Add, and then navigate to the Buildings tab. I'm selecting the Add button for Minneapolis, and then clicking Done to review my scope. Everything looks good to me, so let's deploy the profile with the Save button at the bottom right. As with mobile device configuration profiles, the deployment process is nearly instantaneous. I can now check my test computer's saved wireless networks in System Settings to see the Minneapolis office production and test networks have been added. I can see additional information about the profile by navigating to Privacy and Security, Profiles, and selecting the profile there. That's it for this video on configuration profiles. We've just scratched the surface of all the possible settings that can be deployed with configuration profiles. Be sure to check out the Jamf Pro documentation for an exhaustive list. We encourage you to experiment with deploying configuration profiles in your own instance. Remember to keep your payloads limited to 1 per profile. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in another video.